we got a really cool one for you. We're going to be talking about Bard and also an update on last week's episode where we were talking about how to run Performance Max and Standard Shopping together to steer Performance Max in the right way. So let's get started. For some reason, Restream is not allowing me to see the chat. Hold on 1 second. Oh no, I can't see chats. Hold on. Oh no, technical difficulties, everyone. Let's see. Let me restart this. I'm so sorry, everyone. Uh-oh. It is not working. I will be right back. Yay! I got the chat. All right, it's back. I just had to close in the window and restart it. Can anybody chat in to make sure that you all can see me? I think it's working. But yeah, hopefully it's working now. Okay. So hopefully technical difficulties avoided and I can see you all here. Saba, hey. Hey Saba, how are you? Awesome. There he is. Hey John, there we go. All right, I got it back. Yeah, for some reason I could not see the chat, so it wouldn't even let me click on the button. So hope you all are having a great Friday. I can see you and the pretty chilling dog. He's 13, so he just sleeps in here all day with me. Hey, all right. Yep, check Slack. Sound is different. We are just all sorts of messed up today. Hold on 1 second.
Ooh, that should be much better now. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's restart. Let's do this here. Just gonna check the. Let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna paste some credentials here just for other people can join me. We're gonna have a few guests today, which is gonna be fun. So let me just get this here. All right. Then there we are. All right. So we should have everyone kind of joining us here, but we're going to start off the live today. Pretty cool stuff. So we have a new kind of method that is coming out. That's you have been hopefully kind of watching the YouTube channel and also kind of following me on LinkedIn. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, go and send a request to follow on LinkedIn and add me as a connection. I accept everyone except for the spam. I usually block those. But we've figured out a way that's been fairly systematic, and I keep testing it on new accounts, and it's actually really interesting. The methods as to which Solutions A has figured out to run standard shopping and PMax together is kind of twofold. So when we're looking at running standard shopping, we don't necessarily need standard shopping to run. We just need standard shopping if we want to steer Performance Max. So I want to kind of clear that up with everyone that it's really to push Performance Max out of brand and out of dynamic remarketing. Google themselves has come out with a new feature in Performance Max that are being launched to everyone, which is allowing you to actually go in and exclude the brand and brand variations from your Performance Max. That is a feature that is going live in Performance Max soon to all advertisers. However, I have some words of caution. I think this other strategy that we've developed, we call the hybrid model, is actually a little bit more effective. So see here, Colby's here. I'm gonna let Colby in here. Hey, Colby.
Hey,
how's it going?
So we updated
our good. We updated our passwords. So I was sending it back to everyone there in the team. But yeah, so I was just kind of talking about how I think Caden will be joining us as well. But talking about the ways to which run standard shopping and why you would want to run standard shopping and PMax together. So hopefully, Caden, you're seeing the link that has dropped in Slack here. Perfect. Yep, there we go. Sorry, everyone. It's kind of like a free show, so you get what you pay for. We're all sorts of messed up here. We run Google Ads. I'm not a good podcaster or presenter, so that's why I'm all over the place. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I wanted to share with you. I want to share with you a new kind of indication that this is working in one of our accounts. So I'm going to move this window over here. I'm going to start sharing a screen. And what's funny is Bard. We got access to Bard, which is Google's ChatGPT. And Google's ChatGPT, which is called Bard, runs very similar to how ChatGPT does. But I actually asked Bard a few different ways, and Bard actually confirmed, hey, Caden, what we all thought was the reason why Performance Max and Standard Shopping wouldn't run together, but also how to make sure that they do run together. So what's kind of cool is I'm going to share with you this. So let me share screen. And this is actually going to be really fun because this is actually Bard. Bard functions very, very, very similar to ChatGPT. But I asked it, I said, hey, why doesn't Performance Max and Standard Shopping run well together? I asked this actually to ChatGPT and got the same result, which is pretty interesting. But the little tidbits that Bard will give you, and I wanted to ask Bard first because Bard's Google. So I said, why doesn't Performance Max and Standard Shopping not run well together? And since Performance Max and Standard Shopping are two different campaign types of Google ad campaigns, they use different bidding strategies. Yeah. And then, I got Glen here. Hey, Glen. All right, we got a whole team. We got the whole. Well, not the whole, but the whole team that want to be here today.
The gang.
Yeah, the gang's all here. I know. Yeah, Dave says, what a terrible name, Bard. I know Bard. It sounds like a Simpsons character. But so Performance Max campaigns are designed to reach wider audiences and get more conversions. Okay, that's true to most degree. The wider audiences are warm traffic and brand, which we already know. This is also talking about full build PMax, not feed only, which is our strategy. So there's a difference between feed only and full build. We strip out, YouTube. We strip out GSP. So that is the reason why this also runs a little bit more difficulty side by side. But while standard shopping campaigns are designed to reach more of a specific audience and get more sales, because of these different goals, Performance Max and standard shopping campaigns can sometimes conflict with each other. Okay. For example, if you have a Performance Max campaign that's targeting broad audience, it may start bidding on keywords that are also being targeted by your standard shopping campaigns. We know this. This can lead to your standard shopping campaigns spending more money than they need to. I disagree. Google will choose. They won't, compete against each other and ramp up each other's costs. It simply just chooses the one that's going to be more efficient. If you're running both Performance Max and standard shopping campaigns, it's important to monitor your campaigns closely and make sure that they're not competing with each other. You may need to adjust your bidding strategies or your targeting settings to prevent this from happening. This is what you all are seeing today. When you try to run a standard shopping campaign and try to run a PMax feed only at the same time, they are going to compete. So one thing, and Glenn, I'm just going to mute you just for a moment. It's like for some reason really loud. One thing that we see is that when they do compete with each other, they are going after the same keywords. We want that. That is good. We want that to happen. We want them to compete for the same keywords because we have a non-brand standard shopping campaign going after non-brand cold traffic keywords. And if Performance Max is not running, standard shopping is not running, it means that Performance Max is also going after those. But Performance Max can still go after brand. Now, the way that we get it to push out a brand more and more is by getting more aggressive, as Bard even says, adjust your bidding strategies to have your standard shopping campaign start to compete more and get it to run. So we did that. We took this campaign here, this account, and I'm going to share with you something that was really interesting. Is we have a few different campaigns in here, and if you're watching this live, you're seeing it in its entirety. If you're watching the recording later on, this will all be blurred out, so you kind of get like a little sneak peek into something, and that's going to be actually important when I talk about Bard here in a moment. But what we did on this date here is we took this PMax fish campaign and we had to maximize conversion value, but then we also increased the standard shopping CPC. So I actually took a standard shopping campaign CPC and I pushed this thing up to 10, which is stupid if this is going to be your main standard shopping campaign. If you're not running PMax at the same time, there's no one in their right mind that would say, I'm going to optimize for a $10 cost per click. Doesn't make sense. But this $10 cost per click manual CPC, non-EPC, eCPC bid is getting us a $5 CPCs. That's fine. But the change history that you'll see that took place was I just cranked this thing up. I changed the bid. I just boosted this thing up. 236 products changed their CPCs on the 26th. That was here. So when I say you have to use a manual CPC without eCPC and get ridiculous in the bids, that's what I mean. Now, what's interesting about this is that was on the 25th, or sorry, the 25th or 24th. If I look back at the two different time periods, what you'll see is the cost all of a sudden now it started to run. I'm only trying to spend $50 a day. It hit budget, and now it's telling me I'm limited by budget. You can actually start to spend more. Interesting. So now all of a sudden, standard shopping is running against PMax. But then let's look at a few other things. We're starting to see our impressions are now 1/4 of the impressions in Performance Max, but the CPCs are high. And look at the average cost of Performance Max. It's a 42 per engagement and an 85-cent cost per click. Okay, so 85-cent cost per click, still junky. It is still junky. It is not giving us a good standard shopping high bid placement because I'm selling apparel. A band apparel, a very well-known band apparel. So this is something that is obviously going to have a high amount of competition. I'm not going to get good traffic placement, 85 cents cost per click. And I've tested this. It doesn't happen. I'll show you some proof. So then we look at, okay, now what is the actual, let's look at the search impression share. And for some reason, I don't know why this last week said 99%. We did a 3-hour internal meeting and it had 99%. I don't know why it's gone here, but what's interesting about this is it went from 99 down to 90. So my search impression shares, we said last week, the eligibility is what search impression share. It is not your total amount that you can spend. Search impression share says, hey, with these current settings and this campaign settings and also competing campaigns, this is what you were eligible to receive. So I'm capturing pretty much everything that I'm eligible to receive, but my eligibility percentile is going down. It means the audience is getting wider. I'm getting more users. I didn't tap out with one click. Now I'm spending the full budget and I have room to grow. So then we look at the click share, which is another thing that is going to tell you the how much you can actually spend in that campaign. And that's only at 56.9%. Again, it's split between these two because they're competing against each other. Good. I want that. But now my click share is saying, hey, you actually have more room to grow if you adjust things like your ads targeting settings, your budget, your bids, and then your quality of data, your data feed. So now all of a sudden this is starting to run. Why? I made it more attractive to Google. Google's greedy. Google loves money. I just put a $5 or $10 CPC bid and it says, okay, if you want to spend $1, $2, $3, $4, I'm still going to push over to PMax. You want to spend $5? Okay, I'll take your money. So then we look at inside the Performance Max Insights tab over the last week, and it's not fully vetted because it's like 2-day overlap between when this wasn't working. But the first thing that you see is the cost in Performance Max was low, but the conversions were high. That was because we're getting a ton of brand, which usually happens. It was all brand. It was only 3 or 4 conversions. And it was all branded. But now all of a sudden you see the cost go whoop, start to shoot up. This is literally the day that I started competing with it in standard shopping. Now it's starting to get more cost. It's spending over sometimes the daily budget. Okay, good. So now we look at, well, what actually happened inside of the search terms. The search terms here, again, if you're watching in the recording, you're not really gonna be able to see this that much. But we got a non-brand, and then we have a non-brand, and then we have a non-brand, then we have 3 more non-brands. We didn't have that last week. We had pretty much all of our ad spend going into the brand. It's still capturing the brand. Again, this is not a one-day fix, but it's pushing it in the direction that we want it to go to. When it says compared to 0, compared to 0, compared to 0, 0, 0, that was last week. These weren't there. They didn't decrease, they didn't increase. They weren't even there last week. So we're starting to see more non-brand now. The other thing that's really interesting is I did this test again with another account or another campaign type, or sorry, another product selection type. And what's interesting is now the standard shopping campaign is still not spending. I'll have a test and update for you next week because I shoved my CPC up to 50 to exacerbate this potential conflict. But what's really interesting about this, though, is that as soon as I started to try to spend more inside of the standard shopping campaign, watch what happens. This is very, very, very interesting. Again, it's falling back into what PMax loves to do. Hey, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of brand and conversions, and you're going to like it. I don't like it. I'm not going to go back to my client and say, hey, look, I copied and pasted your brand campaign, give me more money because the ad spend's increasing, but the ROAS is 2,000. So what do you care? You're measuring by ROAS because that's what everyone else does. And I look like a rock star. I'm trying to stop that from happening. So when you open up the search categories, now there's this new one here that wasn't there last week, which is called uncategorized search terms. Again, just to iterate what we're doing here, this is actually a David Bowie type of apparel. So I don't want brand. I want my David Bowie apparel. Well, these uncategorized search terms are exactly what I want. David Bowie sweatshirt, David Bowie sweater, David Bowie hoodie, Bowie sweatshirt, David Bowie merch. Thank God, finally, I'm starting to get some uncategorized search terms. But let's look into it. What is the actual clicks of these other search terms? There's 600% more. So now all of a sudden these uncategorized search terms are starting to earn some clicks. Well, when we look at the uncategorized search term clicks, let me pop into here, do the impressions. Look at the impressions now. All of a sudden PMax in the last couple of days starts to get, because it's only really updates kind of weekly, but the last couple of days, all of a sudden, all of my cold traffic keywords that I'm trying to get in standard shopping says fine, 140% more, 106, 300% more, 214%, 180% more, 250% more. They're uncategorized. We weren't going to go after them, but this is what we're going to start to show forth. Thank you. That's what I want. I don't care that standard shopping is not running. I want PMax to do better. We may see next year that PMax is the only thing that we can actually market for. We may be stuck with PMax. Standard shopping may go away. Google already has plans to kill it. In the meantime, I'm going to push my campaigns and PMax over in the right direction and make sure that when everyone is on an even keel, I'm 2 steps ahead and a year ahead of where everyone else is going to hopefully try to figure this out. So what's interesting about this is I'm now starting to get some non-brand search terms that are finally starting to run. I increased the bid up to $50 so far to see, is this going to run further? Am I going to push this harder? Can I make this faster? I only can update weekly because Insights tab's slow, but it's heading in the right direction. So that's been kind of the update on just the standard shopping in PMax. And I'll talk a little bit more about this, but I want to have everyone kind of weigh in from the team. Because I think we also have other accounts that's doing this too, instead of, because we're testing this, I think in like 40 accounts.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing the same thing. Oh, sorry, John. I was just going to jump in and say, yeah, we're seeing the same thing. It's funny, you hear this hybrid strategy, and at first you're like, oh, I don't know. I was a hater of PMax and not necessarily testing it, but it's kind of like that horse and the carrot analogy. You just need to give PMax that little boost in the right direction. And yeah, we're seeing this through e-commerce, and we're seeing it for Glen and I, we're seeing this also similar kind of vertical with apparel. But yeah, it's good to see in multiple accounts.
Yeah, it's kind of like easy to replicate now, which is cool. And I love that Bard was just like, hey, just your bidding strategy. I'm like, I knew it. Basically use Google's Bard to tell us how to manipulate it. And by the way, I had to refresh Bard like 4 different ways to get 4 different answers before the other ones were just like, yeah, you can't do it.
Can't get Bard in Australia.
What's that?
We can't get Bard in Australia. We can't apply. It's not available yet.
You got to search for BAHD. I think they call it bad.
P-min, am I right?
Yeah, P-min. It's funny stuff. Anybody else want to weigh in or to kind of go through some comments so far?
I guess one other weigh in on that too is, I guess the whole point in terms of standard shopping paired with PMax is just making sure that you're feeding it the right audience. And sometimes in certain cases, for example, one of our clients, they actually were not able to run on shopping for a period of time. And so we had a lot of like search was kind of like the winning medium for them. And then we finally got shopping available and the audience size was massive. And so we're kind of in that transition period now where we have T-ROAS on shopping still working with PMax. So it just kind of, a lot of it kind of comes down to audience size where you start with and then adjusting after that.
Why couldn't they run on shopping?
It was a supplement brand. So it was like health and advertising. And yeah, they had some issues involved around that. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, misrepresentation, I think, was like the first flag. And then we solved that. And it was kind of just checking off all the different boxes to try to solve all the issues. And we finally got it fixed. And yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Awesome. Let's see if I can go through some comments too. And then I'm going to see if I'm going to transition over to Bard and a couple of quick points there. we're going to discuss Bard and how it's going to be for the future of advertising and how you have to think about your keyword strategy now that Bard's out. So Bard is not to jump ahead, but it's still in beta. It's on a wait list. So the public isn't using it. So we have time. Maybe tomorrow, but it's still on a wait list right now. I just got access to it a couple days ago. But what's cool about this is when it goes live, and Bing's already doing this now. If you use a Bing ChatGPT, it's actually suggesting ads, which I think that's where this is going to go. It's pretty crazy how it's like, hey, if I look for like what is the best hammock, it's like we find that this hammock company is great, and it actually has like a little asterisk that says ad over it, which I think is going to be the death of Bing and ChatGPT. It's just like, oh, cool, so I get my one ad engine. Dumb, but that's another topic for another time. Let's see. Hi, John. In a recent video, you said to run shopping with PMax, is PMax including the feed? Because if I run them together, shopping is very little traffic. Yes. Hopefully, sort of this is something that kind of clarifies that. Sometimes you have to take it to the extreme to run. However, this is not necessarily a strategy if your PMax campaign has got 90% non-brand and is working good and is new customer acquisition. That's not doing too much overlap with other channels. So again, this isn't a how to best run PMax. This is how to fix the fallacies of PMax. So I just want to make sure that we kind of can cover that. Actually, I was going to do this here. So I need some help with PMax conducting with standard shopping. I have 2 PMax, one with all assets and one without feed. Will work with steering the standard shopping. Any thoughts? So the only way that I've actually been able to get this to run well is I'm not necessarily using the PMax to be the primary shopping engine. I'm pushing it to be the primary shopping engine. This does not work well with full build. I've kind of come to that conclusion. It can. I don't have enough time to verify and vet that. But what we found is that at PMax with a full build, I can steer the shopping, but the inbound search text ads are still 90% of the conversions, and Google has no reason to push itself out of there. So this is like if someone's Googling the brand name and clicking on branded shopping, this is what this fixes. So, and that's sometimes when you're on PMax, the only thing it does, especially if you have a large company name or a good, well-liked company name, or you're generating a lot of traffic from outside activity, rather than having your omni-channel sources prospecting for you and PMax simply being the me too, you develop your own prospecting and then you can scale it rather than just, having to call your clients and say, hey, can you tell the Facebook people to increase their budgets? I'd like to make myself look better this week. That's what PMax usually does. So I would say a feed-only PMax and standard shopping, along with like a DSA and a broad search, that is what pushes PMax. The channels that you're overlapping is going to dictate it. If you're running a full build, you got to run a full build kind of manual, aggressive bidding strategy. So if you're running search shopping, YouTube, GSP, display, discover inside of PMax, launch a search shopping, YouTube, GSP, discover, as much as you can, because GSP is now a part of PMax anyway. But launch search shopping, YouTube, discover, display in outside campaigns, and that will steer PMax in the right direction, because otherwise you're only moving 1/6 of its capabilities in the right direction with a full build and a standard shopping. Let's see. If Google won't allow you to remarket to some audiences due to privacy issues, is using PMax, which is remarketing built in, the way to get around the restriction? Yes. yes. I was selling prescription medications through PMax when I couldn't even bid on a keyword in search. So yeah, Google's just like, well, you like money more than laws, and they just allow you to run it. Dave said this is well worth the $3. I'm glad, Dave. You got like kind of full 4 full-time employees here working for that $3, so you're getting your money's worth. Let's see. Hello guys, I can't stay for the whole video. I have 2 questions. Emmanuel says, 1, PMax focusing on 1 or 2 products, sometimes because it's trying to get that max ROAS. What is your experience doing with disabling those products? Is it okay to keep disabling them if they don't perform? So this is what I would say is the difference between looking at what is actually selling in the Google Ads campaign and what is getting the clicks and the sales attributed to it. So don't look at your listings inside of Google Ads as that is what sold. It very well may be. I've seen it off as much as 60%. because I had a client yelling at me of asking why I'm selling so many of the other products when the product that I thought was doing good was making a lot of sales. So people were just getting to the site and choosing a different product. So if PMax is focusing on one or two products, this standard shopping method will steer that. And if you check my LinkedIn, I have 2 case studies that show this exact thing where I launched a standard shopping campaign and PMax actually started pushing that product to a 10x. No joke. It went from like a 4x to a 10x in 30 days. So check the LinkedIn. That will kind of give you the case study on how that works. Second question is, if a client doesn't really have good results, what would be the best way to get some fast and easy sales if PMax doesn't do that? Feed only PMax just until things start working. I don't want to bogart this whole thing, because I know you guys are all here. Anybody else have a good answer for this one here?
I can give a John improved answer. I feel like Caden was just about to go in, so sorry, Caden, that I just bombarded you. But I feel like the tactic we were just talking about might be exactly what you need to try. If you're not having good results and you're just running PMax, maybe you need to start steering that with your standard shopping and then having your PMax feed only, and then focusing your standard shopping on the products that are your better sellers. And basically just making sure that you're negating any keywords that are irrelevant and so on and so forth, and go from there.
Yeah, one other thing too, just on that, if you are using a standard shopping strategy, we're putting brand negative inside the standard shopping too, aren't we? So the standard shopping doesn't go after brand conversions.
Yeah, and if I think what you're going to see too is if you started, let's say, with a PMax feed only, what you're training it to do when you start other campaign types is teach it who buys. If you don't have good performance, that's okay. It means that you're not just scooping up all the brand. You're actually one step ahead of where PMax usually likes to go, which is just hop into the brand, get a 2,000 ROAS, and call it a day. So I'd run not only standard shopping, but other prospecting and good quality placements. So things like a discovery with in-market or even typed recently DSKs, or I would launch a DSA or broad match, and start it with a lower budget until you get some good quality wins and start to scale up from there. All of those things that you do when you start to experience good results on those engines, you can then further build out PMax. So feed only, standard shopping, getting good search, add your search assets, getting good discovery, add your discovery assets, which is also YouTube assets too. So PMax is can I find them? No, well, I'll still take your money. If you steer it in the right direction, it'll go off in the right direction. But just to kind of like spin the wheel and close your eyes and drop it and see which way it goes, that's what kind of PMax does initially. So this is how to steer that. We got this one here. Running full build PMax instead of shopping. PMax has lower average CPC than shopping, sort of. So if you're running full build, what that doesn't mean is, well, actually, it's only really 1/7 of it competing. So low CPCs can be display clicks, discovery clicks, YouTube clicks. Usually you got a little bit higher of a cost unless it's remarketing, then it can be a lower CPC click. You have other channels that is running inside with low CPCs. That's where PMax likes to spike up its ROAS, because a low CPC click on a warm audience means good ROAS. Doesn't mean it will scale, and doesn't mean that your CAC is reduced. So again, knowing that PMax's job is to be a kleptomaniac and look for all the fast, easy, cheap wins, that's what we usually strip out. Otherwise, those 2 examples that you just show where it's like I made $900 on brand, I spent $50 in that campaign. How does that happen? It's not doing anything. So taking a full build and then stripping it, rebuilding the assets you stripped out in other exterior campaign types, turning into a feed only and standard shopping will hopefully reset Performance Max on the right course if you're getting too much brand or just bad performance right now. Cool. Let me just see if there's any other topics around this.
I mentioned one point as well too. Listing groups are not just the shopping network as well too. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Listing groups are PLAs. That's all that is. It's not a shopping ad. It's a product listing ad. We all think of shopping ads like on the shopping network. No. So your listing group CPCs is, I'll give a really good example. I'm going to take a feed only that I'm running right now, and I'm going to show you where feed only runs. And I really hope this kind of changes the mindset of everyone out there that says, okay, when I looked at my listing groups and I assumed it was shopping, that's incorrect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into an account. I got to choose an account that's kind of friendly real quick. Hold on 1 second. Well, I guess I'll just use this one. That'll work. So let me do this here. And of course, this thing's slow. Does anybody have a feed only that they can share? Because my Google's just sitting here spinning. Wait, did it work? Yay. Okay. So here, finally, here is where, there we go. Okay. So here's a feed only asset group. You see that everything's stripped out. I don't even have a headline that is required. So when you look at YouTube, YouTube is running this. That's a listing group. This is not shopping. This is a watch page ad on YouTube. I will get an impression in my listing group here. So there's a very, 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 very smart individual named Mike Rhodes. He developed a script, and he has been able to kind of crack the code on this and bring this down to more actuality. However, there's a little bit of a small bit of a fallacy in there. I'm not saying that's bad, but there's something I discussed with him. I said, hey, if you look at listing groups, how do you differentiate between shopping, GSP, YouTube, and display and discover if it's a feed? And he goes, well, you can't. You kind of just have to combine them together. Cool. That's as good as anybody's ever going to get ever. There's never been any better way to do this. But you have to understand that that a listing group impression and click could have come from a YouTube watch page ad. Can't come from Gmail because those are stripped. It will come from shopping, but it will also come in to your dynamic remarketing. A dynamic remarketing click is going to be 20, 30 cents. So when you see a low CPC click, it does not mean that it's shopping. That's why when I looked at that one account and I said, hey, I'm getting 60 and 70 cent clicks in PMax, but then I'm also getting, $10,000 off of like a penny spend. Those are inbound branded shopping clicks. I don't want those. I'm not going to develop a new campaign to go after inbound branded shopping clicks. That's what PMax does. We have to steer it out of there. When you look at your listing groups, say, well, look at my shopping does, there's a lot of activity there. It's a warm audience or a cold audience, but either way, it's not a very high quality audience. There's not much intent there. It's Google just saying, what about them? That didn't work. What about them? And it's just not spending enough. So that hopefully kind of demystifies your listing groups. Thank you, Caden. That was an excellent addition. It's something that I've been trying to tell the world, that it's listing groups is not shopping, and people are like, wait, what do you mean? So that's a great prompt. Current PMax with one asset group and all audience signals in one asset group. I want to do another asset group with new photos. I copy current budgets. Should I copy? Yeah, just copy it. Your signals don't mean anything, unfortunately. So I just copy your asset group, copy the signals because it doesn't really matter, and then change your ads, and then you're basically going to have an A/B test of your ad copy. But if it's warm audiences, sometimes you just get like some branded clicks here and some branded clicks here, and now nothing matters, which is why we go back to the beginning of what traffic's in PMax. I wonder if Bard can fix policy problems. Google can't even fix policy problems when you call them. All right, so I think it's going to kind of go off into the wrong track here. I want to talk about Bard for a minute. Now I'm going to go back into Q&A. I don't want to have the whole thing be Q&A. So there's kind of an interesting thing that's going on with Bard. And what Bard is doing is actually going to prompt people to do this. And here's where this gets nuts. Okay, yeah, you guys can see this. If I typed in here, for example, what is the best hammock? Ask Bard, what's the best hammock? And I'm doing this on purpose because I have a hammock client. What is the best hammock? And Google says Eno Double Nest Hennessy Hammock Expeditions and Kamak Rue Single Ultralight. Okay, where is this pulling from? It's actually pulling from, sometimes it will give you a source. And sometimes that's like Backpacker Magazine. And that Backpacker Magazine mentioned its 3 best hammocks that it's ever seen. Sometimes it will pop up down here and give you a source. So then you say, new response, I want to try it again. And it will sometimes give you different responses. So it's going to re-deliver a different response. So now I have what looks to be about the same response. Let's try it again. Sometimes it'll be different. I don't know if it will be different. First time I'm kind of doing this live here with refreshing the same question. Nope. Oh, yeah. So now I got Eno, Hennessy, Hammock, and Parlays. Okay. See this button here? Actually, there it is. Now you can see on the screen. There's a button called Google It. And if I click the Google It button, hopefully I can... Well, if I click the Google It button, it says search related topics, best hammock. Wow. What that just did is give me the keyword. Because when I click this button, it's going to Google search best hammock. By the way, that's my client right there. You can kind of see that I'm the first 4 in shopping and the first in the search. And then you have Eno, which was funny enough. What Google's Bard just said was the best hammock. Well, thanks, Bard. I don't like you anymore. But this is what's kind of cool is it's giving me the search terms. Let's try this again. What is the most comfortable hammock? I'm going to say, what's the most comfortable hammock, Bard? And Bard's going to come back and say, well, the most comfortable hammock is the one that suits your individual needs. Here are some things to consider. Weight, durability, size, features, comforts. It didn't recommend a product. I asked what is the most comfortable hammock, and it gave me a more genericized answer that just says, hey, one that fits all these criteria. Excellent. Let's click the button that says Google it. It says, what is a search-related topic? You can't see this because it's cut off, but it says, what is the most comfortable hammock? Well, when I click on that, who shows up there again? I do. Still number 1 here, number 3 here, number 4 here, number 5 here, and the first search. I'm above the snippet. I'm in ads. So what Bard is doing is it's actually telling me what it's going to suggest as a keyword. This is going to suck for keyword research, but when this goes live to the world, this is why Google's been pushing broad match. It's smart bidding. By the way, I'm only bidding on 6 keywords in this account, but I'm number 1 everywhere. You can't go to Google and type in anything about a hammock and not have me be number 1, and I get less than $2 CPCs. Leaning into automated bidding strategies and pulling yourself out of the dinosaur era of, well, no, I need a skag. Please don't do that. Or actually, please do if you're selling hammocks, I'll win. But going into bidding strategies and going into broad match keywords and then looking how Bard is matching those things, that is where this whole thing is going to be moving. I'm not saying the world is going to be using Bard, but there's going to be millions of people. So thinking about what the keywords that Bard is suggesting, that's huge for us marketers. We are going to be able to catalog that. We're going to be able to optimize for that. We're going to be able to make new campaigns, ad groups for those new keywords. We're not going to use skags because they're dead, but we're going to be more in our responsive search ads. Those are going to be things that we're going to be able to pull. Try most comfortable banana hammock. All right, I'm going to do it. Thank you, Dave. In the spirit of fun, let's try this. Most comfortable. I'm copying and pasting this. Oh, I'm actually going to show the screen. I don't want to show that. Hold on. Most comfortable banana hammock. Oh gosh, Dave. All right, man. Here we go. Let's see what happens here. I'm nervous now. All right, let's Google it. Yeah. All right. I'm not number 1. Woo! I am for hammocks, but I'm not on the search. Thank you, Dave. That was really messed up, but I'm glad I validated that I'm not showing up for the best banana hammock. About to get canceled in 3, 2, 1. I know, Michael. Thank you, Dave. That was fun. Dave said Caden rules, by the way.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about Bard and how this is getting integrated? I know we just had a 2-hour conversation on it internally, but what are your guys' thoughts since we talked about it?
It kind of takes me back to, I always hate being on the Google Ads podcast and then, saying things like SEO, but it makes me think a little bit about SEO and what users can be doing there to show up within there. But that being said, I do like what you're saying about keeping things broad. It makes sense. The direction of PMax and everything that's happening, they want to keep it as open as possible so you can rank for Bard. But yeah, like I'm excited to see how they break it out, because I feel like the way that Microsoft, like Bing, is going, it feels like it's not the way to go. And so I feel like Google's kind of taking their time because they're trying to think of how to release this and have it be the best for advertisers. And I imagine that's where the rub is. And I imagine that's what's difficult. So basically all I'm doing is giving you more questions, food for thought. But
we're just discussing, so it's perfect. Yeah, no, I think you're right on. Glenn, what's up?
I was just going to say, well, I haven't had a chance to play with Bard yet because we can't get it here in Australia, but there's definitely, I'm sure that Google's going to have a game plan. They wouldn't have been just sitting on their hands researching and building this AI for the last 4, 5, 6 years, however long they've had it in development. They'll have a game plan. They'll know what they want to be doing and rolling it out. It's just, I think their hand was forced a little bit early with ChatGPT being released. But I'm interested to see how they're going to contextually integrate ads into Bard, like in those responses, because you've got some friction points with the ads with just Google it, then you got to click another thing. It's going to be interesting to see where are the ads going to appear in this Bard interface.
I don't know if it will. I'm curious. I don't think it will. I think there'll always be a Google it, but I think that the separation that Google did was way better than what Bing did. And I want to give us a quick shout out. So Angel on LinkedIn shared this with me, and it was originally a post from a man named David. I don't know if you all wanted to be famous to like the 68 people here, so I'm not going to like post your screenshots or anything, but I want to post the actual Bard integration with ads, and I think this is so poorly executed. It says, which is the cheapest Honda car? This is generating answers for you. It says the cheapest Honda car for 2023 is a Civic Sport, which starts at around $24,650 according to TrueCar. Ad. The HRV is also the inexpensive side of lineups and starts at $25,000. Ad. I wouldn't use this. It's like, cool. So I just get, not actually real answers, but an ad shown to me. And I just think that cheapens the entire thing. When I said, hey, Bard, what's the best hammock? It says one that fits these things. Here's some things to think about contextually. Like Colby said, SEO. Here's the 4 topics you should think about. Not here's an ad for who's paying me the most amount of money that day. I think it just cheapens it out. It's just it's such a bad way to go. And you're going to lose a lot of, it's going to be a fun tool to work with because people are going to be like, write a poem about farts. And then it's going to go away. So I don't think that this is the way to do it. I think Bing is doing the way wrong thing about like basically, telling you that this is a pre-notion contextualized answer based on how much money Microsoft's making. I think it's bad. I don't think people are going to trust it.
I think that goes to say, and honestly, this might just be what Glenn was saying too, with everything that Google's been doing. I think, they're generating all their revenue from ads. And of course, Microsoft does a lot of that, but Google's probably done this from the beginning with that in mind. And so I'm hoping that this will be good for all of us. It's just a matter of waiting and seeing.
Yeah, and it leaves it open too, which is what I like. It basically says, hey, I'm not just going to use this as a platform to push ads because Microsoft is obviously making a huge revenue push. That's all they're doing. And that's why they bought ChatGPT, and they're like, well, we can put ads there. It's very, very archaic and very immature way of thinking about the integration. I think that people are going to use Bard. I don't know to what extent, who knows, but it is something that kind of uses its own language to say, here's what a person would search for. It's a predictability model. That's what Google always has been. It's a predictability model. It believes this is what people are going to search for when they ask these type of questions, or when people ask these type of questions, the broad match keyword that it would match to. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I think that what's nice is it gives you a tool that can still be used as a closed off from ads ecosystem that you have to manually say, okay, let me find what I want to buy. So you are the one to take action to then say, I'm okay to now see ads. So that was cool. It was a human interaction that then said, yeah, go ahead and search for this on Google. So it was a decision that was made, and a decision tree is, do I want the answer, or do I want the ad, or do I want both? So it's kind of cool. I do think that it's fun.
Have you tested with Bard? Can you, like with ChatGPT, you can train like a question saying, this is what I want you to start doing. Here's some context, feeding it some information, and then ask it questions. Have you tried with that with Bard? What's the output like?
Almost identical to ChatGPT, like scary identical. Yeah, you can ask it to write things. What Bard said is Bard is doing more contextually relevant conversational type of answers, and ChatGPT is focused on more language modeling and can actually be more creative. So you can ask ChatGPT to make ads where Bard may not be able to make it as well. But if you're talking about things that people are currently intentful and being talking about, Bard seems to be better at being able to deliver you more of a push and pull rather than an assistant type of environment.
Have you tried to use Bard, like the keyword search tool in Google Ads? Is it? No. That would be a good comparison, actually.
Let's try it. All right, we're going to do it live here, everyone. Find me the winning keywords for the web. Oh, sorry. Find me the winning Google Ads search keywords. Google Ads search keywords for the website soul8.com. I don't even know what's going to happen. And this is probably the way wrong way to ask it. Yeah.
Watch it be like, have you tried Google Ads?
Yeah, what would be 10 keywords to test on Google Ads if I were to run traffic to soul8.com? No.
Okay.
ChatGPT does it.
It does.
Yeah. Bard does it, and it's Google. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I know.
So we got to tell Google that their Google machine's broken. Yeah, so that's really interesting. It's still, I just got access to this 2 days ago, so I think that it's kind of like 3 or 4 months behind ChatGPT. So it'd be interesting to see how this thing starts to come out. So anyway, pretty exciting.
ChatGPT is going to have all the plugins released soon.
Yeah, and they went from 3 to 4, so it's got even way smarter. So I think ChatGPT is outrun. ChatGPT doesn't integrate with ads, and I don't like Bing. So this would be a really follow along with how Bard, because if they integrate Bard on the homepage search engine, that's a game changer. Because for Bing, you have to like download the app and then you have to use the chat widget, and then it's like just showing you ads there. That's cool. But if they actually mainstream this into the homepage on Google, that could be a huge game changer. I'm going to go through a couple Q&As here. So do you guys also have that issue? Full PMax sometimes does not work in multiple countries for some products, but one country is crushing it. No, we always separate out our countries with different ads specifically. So make a replicated feed, different feed label, choose that feed label inside of a PMax campaign and run that way. I've actually never tried to run multi-country ever. So I don't have that issue, maybe because that would be the reason why though. What is the right mix of budget with PMax and standard shopping? Right now, I like 75-25. I like to actually have more ad spend in PMax if it's working well, and then 25 into standard shopping as a security blanket, as a push effort. If PMax is just hemorrhaging cash with nothing but brand, I start to push more into standard shopping until I see the result that I want. Simon goes, the book has the answers, Dave. Oh man, Simon and Dave battle. Let's do it. Turkey, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right, so I apologize. I'm John. I'm a single syllable. I don't know names very well. Hello guys, I'm running Performance Max without any assets, no image, no text. Try to push to work like smart shopping campaign and having good results for daily ad spend of $1,000 Australian. Not sure if this is something that you guys had experienced before, but I'm thinking I should add assets and try for the campaign. Well, you're having ROAS. You're measuring by ROAS so far. That's not necessarily the right way to measure it. This one campaign that we just launched for this other client that I'm trying to push out of that area has a 2,000 ROAS. I spent like $50 to make like $1,000. It's looks great, but it's brand and dynamic remarketing of all the traffic we've run for the last 2 years, just scooping that up. So that's not good performance. So try to see what is the search terms and what is the CPCs. Do your searches yourself to say I'm actually placing well. Then see if it's actually scooping up easy wins or if it's driving new customer growth. Let's see. Let's see if I do 1/3 to test it. Then if PMax is 50% the whole budget. That'd be fair. Yeah. How to convince a numbers-driven CFO. She has no idea about Google Ads and reporting. Fact is, only channel is Google, and 100 plus first-time customers came in. What solution is there to convince? Northbeam? Well, you could use Northbeam. The problem is, though, that when you install Northbeam, it picks up wherever people are at in the sequence. So a lot of times for the first month, if you do have a lot of good, customers that are going to be buying from you, your direct channels gaining all these new customers. Well, that's because you've inserted yourself right before they were about to buy. So when you're talking about a numbers driven CFO, what I would say is you need to find, if you use Northbeam, look at CAC and LTV and MER. So say, what is the cost of acquiring a new customer? Doesn't matter what channel they start or end on. Doesn't matter. What is your combined cost of acquiring a customer? And is that profitable to what you're making on them? So that's where I would start. And then it doesn't matter what campaigns run. You can start Facebook. I'm a Google Ads person who says, yeah, start Facebook. Facebook could give you a $27 cost of acquiring a customer. Great. Then you learn where to grow from there. But right now, if you're saying a numbers driven CFO, your CFO should be asking you from a blended CAC, which means out of everything we spent, how much does acquire a new customer? And also how long, and then you can ask, the CFO, how long do they stay? That's what a CFO's job is to do, is to identify post-purchase, what happens with that ad spend. So I would say combining it together, identify your CAC and lifetime value. That's all that matters, period. Facebook can blow up tomorrow. Okay. Still to acquire a cost for a first time customer at that same cost. Doesn't matter. So that's where I would start. Does the strategy work well in low budget? Kinda. $80 a day. Yeah, that'll work. What is the best PMax structure campaign for lead generation? Not PMax. Honestly, everybody else weigh in here too. Have you? I've only had good luck once on PMax lead generation.
Too scared to try.
Only if the conversion action is like a guarantee, like this is a good conversion. And even then it's still kind of scary. It's like, I'd rather just start with search or some other platform. Sometimes if you're like, for example, a client that's more on like, for example, like boat tours or something like that, you can run like YouTube. So it's because it's more visual, and then use that as sort of a way to say, if they're on Fair Harbor or something like that, you can consider that, I guess, lead generation, but in reality, it's more like e-com. I've tried PMax on that, and that seems to work out pretty well too.
I had PMax running really well on a lead generation campaign because I put them through a 5-step, 15-minute process to generate its own custom-built outdoor kitchen for 20 grand. Worked well for like 6 months, and all of a sudden we just started getting junk leads. And these little click farms were going through that entire process. I'm like, you sons of, so I had to shut it off, and I switched over to YouTube, and thank God it kicked right back up. But yeah, these people will fill out an immense amount of crap to spam someone. I mean, geez. We have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I haven't had any success with PMax and lead gen.
Yeah, because it can get, basically anything that earns a click. It's like, that must be where everyone's going to come from. And then it just spirals off in the wrong direction. Then you can't stop it. How can I scale an ACI campaign? What's an ACI campaign? I don't know. Acquire customers intimately. I don't know what ACI is. I'm sorry.
Ask Bard. Ask Bard. See what Bard says.
What is an ACI campaign?
I'm hoping it's what John thinks it is.
Oh, let's see what it is. ACI campaign. Oh, app campaign. Woo! Good job. Thanks, Caden. And actually, I've only run one app campaign, and I scaled the crap out of it. I was getting $2 installs. They were all junk, so I never did it again. I don't have any clients that need to sell apps. Crazy. I was running for about 4 months, got 10,000 downloads, 8,000 opens, and all of those people in a very small 20-mile radius for a outdoor exercise event that I couldn't even get one of them to take me up on a free exercise event, like joining a class for free. No one would join. I can't tell you what happens, but I kind of vowed right then and there to never use app campaigns ever again. So you can scale them easy. Just add more budget. They optimize really well. But we couldn't get over the hump of iOS not tracking post opens, which iOS just simply wouldn't send back to Google. So I couldn't tell you after they downloaded it, installed it, opened it. I couldn't tell you what happened after that, but I scaled those, but nothing ever came from it. So my apologies. I think you just answered my question, but I'll ask, can you use standard shopping to direct full build PMax? No, it'll only direct 1/6 of it because it's only affecting the shopping. when adding product groups in standard shopping? Should we limit the number of products per campaign ad group, or do you keep products? I actually, for product groups in standard shopping, I run everything in one, hack off what doesn't work, and then build out exponentially from there. So like 3,000 SKUs in one campaign, I find the 20% that just blow everything else out of the water. Take the other 80% and then scale all the way down until you hit zombie. And then you might end up with about 25 campaigns. Categorically usually helps because people are going to look for one type of scrunchie and then buy another type of scrunchie, but you're spending all on scrunchies, and the cross-pollination of people that want scrunchies are buying scrunchies. So you're fine. Not just like the red one, the blue one, the green one, the yellow one. Keep it categorically similar. And I'm going fast, going on 4 minutes left. B2B high value industrial halls hit some issues in the campaigns. Recently had a call with Google rep. Wait, skip over one. B2B high value industrial halls hit some issues in the campaigns. Might be missing a part there for some reason. But the number 2, it says recently had a call with Google rep, recommended to reduce the number of keywords in campaign, just include the historically well-performing ones. Reason too many signals confuse the algorithm. Thoughts? Yeah, there actually is some merit to that. If you stretch yourself too thin, like $100 a day with 50 broad keywords, you can literally match to 1 million search terms. You can. And then once those 1 million search terms see some sort of commonality, then it optimizes. So yeah, there actually is some merit to there. But if you're talking about like 20-mile radius and 10 broad match keywords for like an industrial pipe cleaner on a Cat L760 bus, you're fine. So again, it just depends on how much variation there could be. I just made that up, by the way. I don't know if that's real machinery. We are crushing it with PMax. Thanks to you guys. Yeah, DCAS, that's awesome. Even with the target CPA, we're doing well with it. Should we remove the TCP on PMax to scale? We just don't want to F asterisk K up. What is working? Yeah, so if it's working well, you mean like got some non-brand cold traffic, new good CACs and all that good stuff, scale up with the TCPA until you can't. All it means is you've locked yourself into an audience, and then you have $200 a day. That $100 a day will go to $284. And then you add $500 a day to $284. That's the part where then you have to remove it and then slowly scale it up from there, because you blasted through your known audience and now you're going into the unknown. So give it time when you get into the unknown. It'll be laggy. Running shopping on the other 2 SKUs. When should I start PMax? The standard shopping has around 30 conversions so far. The other has 7 conversion. New campaign for new campaigns for new products about 2 weeks old. I think I'm missing Joe on the first part there. I don't know why. Maybe they're only coming in, but I'm getting like the second half of people's questions for some reason. Dave says, yeah, okay, we got that one here. I don't know, Joe. I don't know the first question. I'm so sorry. I can try to decipher this. Running shopping on other 2 SKUs. When should I start PMax? Okay, standard shopping. You said running shopping on 2 SKUs and standard shopping around 30 conversions. Joe, honestly, if it's actually working well, you may not need to. If you do launch PMax on now with a feed only to start to see, can I find shopping and dynamic remarketing on all the other 4 channels that PLAs can run on and do better than standard shopping? Run it now. Just make sure it doesn't just start off on brand and then stay in there. Check your insights often. Caden rules. Hey, I have an existing smart shopping campaign that works. How is this possible? Yeah, standard shopping. I have an existing smart shopping campaign that works. How's it possible? You're the second person in the last 6 months that said, hey, I still have a smart shopping campaign. Google forgot about you. I'm sorry. No, keep it. Don't touch it. I'll pay you $100 if you give it to me. All right, we're gonna jump through there. I'm gonna try to get through the end. The new SCAG meaning I have. It hurt its service to keyword ad group. Yes, your actual rate of exact match keyword, if it's above 80%, SCAGs will work. Above 90%, SCAGs will work really well. If your exact match keyword rate is like 50, SCAGs are half as efficient. So I don't use them. So look at your exact match keyword rate. And if it's 80 or above, you got some good room to run SCAGs until it changes. So just keep an eye on that. Okay. I think I have to go everyone here. I'm so sorry. I think we had like 4 or 5 questions left, but I have to hop off and I think it's going to shut this whole thing down. But hopefully we learned all something. What BART is, how it integrates with ads, and updated standard shopping versus PMax. And we all learned what a banana hammock is. I really appreciate everyone.